Han Tae-woo, 73, sat in his living room, holding a folder with legal papers. His hands shook a little. Outside, rain fell on the quiet neighborhood where he had lived for 40 years. "I never thought it would come to this," he said to himself. He was suing his own son, Kim Do-hyun, now 45 years old. Do-hyun had moved back home temporarily after college. That was 27 years ago. Now he still lived in the basement, with no job and no plans to leave. Han looked at old family photos on the wall. Do-hyun as a bright-eyed child. Do-hyun at his high school graduation, full of promise. What had happened to that promising young man? Han's wife had passed away 5 years ago. Before she died, she made Han promise not to kick their son out. "He needs more time," she had said. Han had kept that promise, but his patience was gone. His retirement savings were shrinking fast. Last week, he had asked Do-hyun one more time to find a job and move out. Do-hyun had just nodded and gone back to his basement, closing the door without a word. That was the moment Han decided to file the lawsuit. The doorbell rang. It was Mr. Lee, Han's neighbor and longtime friend. "The news reporters are outside," Mr. Lee said, looking worried. "They know about the lawsuit." Han sighed. He hadn't told anyone except his lawyer. "Someone at the courthouse must have leaked it," Han said. "I'm sorry you have to see this." Mr. Lee sat down across from Han. "Are you sure about this? Suing your own son?" "I've tried everything else," Han said. "I found him jobs. I've offered to pay for an apartment. I've even tried tough love. Nothing works." Downstairs, they heard movement. Do-hyun was awake, even though it was only 11 a.m. He usually slept until afternoon. "He's smart," Han continued. "He graduated with honors in physics. But then, nothing. He just stopped trying." Mr. Lee nodded. He had watched the family drama unfold over decades. "What does he do down there all day?" "I don't know exactly," Han admitted. "He has all sorts of strange equipment. He says he's working on projects, but he never shows me anything. No results. No income." The basement door opened, and Do-hyun appeared on the stairs. At 45, he looked older than his age, with long, unkempt hair and pale skin that rarely saw sunlight. He wore an old T-shirt with a faded space design. "There are reporters outside," Do-hyun said calmly, as if discussing the weather. Han stood up. "Do-hyun, we need to talk about this. The court date is set for next week." Do-hyun looked at the legal papers on the table. "You're really going through with it?" "I have no choice," Han said. "I'm getting old. I can't support you forever." To Han's surprise, Do-hyun didn't argue. He just nodded. "That's fine. I'll see you in court. They'll all see." Something in his son's tone made Han uncomfortable. Not anger, not fear, but something like confidence. Mr. Lee stood up to leave. "I'll try to send the reporters away." After his friend left, Han followed Do-hyun to the basement door. "What do you mean? They'll all see?" Do-hyun paused. For a moment, he looked like he might say something important. Then he shook his head. "Nothing, Dad. Just, maybe after court, you'll finally understand what I've been doing all these years." The door closed, and Han heard the familiar sound of the lock turning. That evening, the local news ran a story about the lawsuit. Local father sues 45-year-old son to evict him from basement. Han turned off the TV, embarrassed but determined. His phone rang constantly with calls from reporters and distant relatives. He ignored them all. Later that night, strange lights flickered under the basement door. Han had seen these lights many times before. Do-hyun always said they were from his computer setup. But tonight, they seemed brighter, more urgent. Han put his ear to the door and heard his son talking. It sounded like Do-hyun was having the conversation, but Han couldn't hear another voice. The words made no sense. Technical terms and strange phrases that almost sounded like another language. Contact confirmed. Dimensional coordinates locked. Requesting extension. Han pulled away from the door, confused. Maybe his son wasn't just lazy. Maybe there was something wrong with him mentally. Either way, the lawsuit would force Do-hyun to get help, to face reality. As Han climbed the stairs to his bedroom, he didn't notice the brief moment when the house seemed to shift slightly, as if reality itself had hiccuped. In 3 days, he would be forced to enter that basement to gather evidence for court, and nothing in his life would ever be the same. Han stood outside the basement door, camera in hand. His lawyer had been clear. He needed evidence of Do-hyun's living conditions for the court case. 3 days remained until they would face the judge. Do-hyun, Han called, knocking firmly. I need to come in. No answer came. Han tried again, louder this time. Still nothing. With a deep breath, Han used his spare key. He hadn't entered his son's space in years, respecting what little independence Do-hyun maintained. The lock clicked open. The door swung inward, revealing darkness. Han fumbled for the light switch. What he saw made him drop his camera. This was not the cluttered, neglected basement he expected. The space had been transformed completely. Sleek metal panels covered the walls. The concrete floor was now smooth and polished. Soft blue light came from strips along the ceiling. The air smelled clean, almost sterile. What in the world? Han whispered. Complex equipment lined the walls. Screens displayed data and diagrams Han couldn't begin to understand. Everything hummed with quiet energy, perfectly maintained. But what drew Han's attention was the structure in the center of the room, a vertical chamber about 7 feet tall, glowing with swirling blue light. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Han approached it carefully. The light seemed to move in impossible ways, folding into itself. Looking at it made his eyes hurt slightly. It's a quantum displacement field. Han spun around. Do-hyun stood behind him, wearing what looked like a fitted uniform instead of his usual shabby clothes. He looked different, alert, focused, his posture straight and confident. What is all this? Han asked, gesturing around the room. Where did you get this equipment? I built it, Do-hyun said simply. Most of it, anyway. Some components came from elsewhere. Han shook his head in disbelief. This must have cost millions. How could you afford this? I've been trying to tell you for years, Dad, Do-hyun said, moving to a control panel. I'm not unemployed. I've been working. Just not in this dimension. Han laughed nervously. What are you talking about? Do-hyun pressed a sequence of buttons. The blue light in the chamber intensified. I made contact 17 years ago. At first, I thought I was going crazy. Signals coming through my old radio equipment. Patterns that couldn't be random. The chamber began to hum louder. I built a response system, then a transmitter. Then this. He gestured to the chamber. A doorway. Han stepped back. A doorway to what? To them. Do-hyun looked at his father, his eyes clear and serious. The lawsuit forced my hand, Dad. I wasn't supposed to reveal any of this yet. We weren't ready. But now I have no choice. The blue light from the chamber expanded suddenly, filling the room with its eerie glow. Han shielded his eyes. When he looked again, something was happening inside the chamber. The air seemed to fold, creating a window that showed not the back of the chamber, but somewhere else entirely, a vast room with curved walls of unfamiliar design. Oh my God, Han whispered. Dad, I need you to listen carefully, Do-hyun said, his voice urgent now. For nearly 2 decades, I've been working with them, the Stellar Collective. They've been watching Earth for centuries. They're concerned about us. Our technology is advancing faster than our wisdom. Han stared at his son, unable to process what he was hearing. I'm their liaison, Do-hyun continued. They chose me because of my physics work in college. I showed potential. The equipment you see here allows me to communicate with them, sometimes even visit their world. Visit their world, Han repeated weakly. Do-hyun nodded. That's why I couldn't leave. The gateway needs constant monitoring. It needs to stay here, at this exact spot. Moving it would risk destabilizing the connection. Han sank into a nearby chair, his legs suddenly weak. All these years, I thought you were wasting your life. I know what it looked like, Do-Yun said, but I couldn't tell you. They made me promise to keep it secret until the right time. And now? Han asked. Now we have a problem. Do-Yun turned back to the control panel. The collective has detected something approaching our solar system. Something dangerous. Our Earth scientists don't have instruments sensitive enough to see it yet. On a large screen, images appeared, star maps, data charts, and something that looked like a wave pattern moving toward a point labeled Sol System. What is it? Han asked. A quantum distortion wave. If it hits Earth unshielded, our magnetic field will collapse. It would be catastrophic. Han stared at his son, this stranger who spoke of alien worlds and cosmic threats. Why are you telling me this now? Because of your lawsuit. Do-Yun's expression softened. The court date will make this public. Once that happens, I can't control how the information spreads. He paused. And because I need your help. My help? What can I possibly do? You were respected at the aerospace agency. People will listen to you. Do-Yun handed his father a small device, glowing with the same blue light. This contains proof. Data from the collective sensors. Enough to convince Earth scientists that the threat is real. Han held the device carefully. And the court case. We can use it, Do-Yun said. It will get attention. Attention we need right now. From the glowing chamber came a sound like distant chimes. Do-Yun looked at it urgently. They're calling. I have to report what's happened. He touched his father's shoulder. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you before. Will you help me now? Han looked at his son, really looked at him, for the first time in years, not as a disappointment, but as someone with purpose. Yes, Han said finally. I'll help you. The courthouse buzzed with whispers. People packed the small room, many standing against the walls. Reporters clutched notebooks and cameras. This was no ordinary eviction case. Han and Do-Yun walked in together. Han noticed how different his son looked today. Clean-shaven, hair neatly cut, wearing a proper suit. The change was dramatic. Several reporters snapped photos. Judge Park Ji-woo entered and called the courtroom to order. Her eyes widened slightly at the unusual crowd. This was supposed to be a simple eviction case, she said, looking over her glasses. Why do I have the national news in my courtroom? Han's lawyer stood. Your Honor, circumstances have changed. My client wishes to withdraw the lawsuit. Judge Park frowned. Mr. Han, you filed this case. Now you want to drop it? Yes, Your Honor, Han said, standing. But with your permission, we would like to explain why. The judge looked skeptical, but nodded. You have 5 minutes. Han looked at Do-Yun and nodded. They had planned this carefully. Do-Yun approached the front of the courtroom, carrying a small case. Your Honor, my name is Kim Do-Yun. My father sued me because for 27 years, I've lived in his basement without apparent employment. A few chuckles rippled through the crowd. The truth is, Do-Yun continued, I have been employed, just not in a way anyone could understand. He opened the case and removed a small cube, about 3 inches on each side. It was metallic with strange markings. He placed it on the table in front of the judge. May I demonstrate? He asked. Judge Park nodded, curious now. Do-Yun pressed a sequence on the cube's surface. It hummed softly, then rose into the air, hovering 6 inches above the table. Gasps filled the courtroom. Judge Park leaned forward, eyes wide. Downstairs, Do-Yun worked tirelessly. The gateway to the Star Alliance had been expanded. Strange materials and technologies arrived daily through the blue portal. A team of Earth's top scientists worked alongside Do-Yun, trying to understand and adapt the alien technology. Han brought down a tray of food. The basement no longer looked like a basement. It resembled a high-tech command center from a movie. People in lab coats rushed around. Screens showed data and diagrams. In the center, The gateway glowed, twice its original size. "You should eat something," Han told his son, setting down the tray. Do-hyun looked exhausted. Dark circles rimmed his eyes. "Thanks, Dad. Is the science minister here?" "Just arrived," Han confirmed. "Is something wrong?" Before Do-hyun could answer, Professor Kang, the lead physicist, called out from a monitoring station. "It's accelerating. The wave's speed has increased by 15%. Everyone rushed to the main screen. The distortion wave, shown as a red line approaching Earth, had indeed moved closer than expected. "That cuts our timeline to 11 weeks, Do-hyun said, his voice tense. "The shields aren't ready." The science minister joined them, face grim. "The president wants an update. The public is getting nervous." "They should be," Professor Kang said. "If that wave hits unshielded, we lose our magnetic field. Radiation from space would flood in. Communications would fail. The atmosphere could begin to strip away." Han watched his son closely. The weight of the world literally rested on Do-hyun's shoulders now. The son he had tried to evict was now Earth's main hope. "We need more help from the Alliance," Do-hyun decided. He moved toward the gateway controls. "I'll go through myself and request direct intervention." "No." Han stepped forward. "The last time you went through, you were sick for days afterward. We don't have a choice, Dad." The gateway hummed to life, the blue light brightening. Do-hyun adjusted settings on the control panel. "The shield technology is working in small tests," he explained to the science minister, "but scaling it up to protect the whole planet. We're missing something." Professor Kang nodded. "The power requirements are impossible. Even if we diverted all of Earth's energy production, it wouldn't be enough." The gateway was fully active now, the portal showing the curved architecture of the Alliance's world. Do-hyun prepared to step through. "Wait." Han grabbed his son's arm. "Let me go with you." Do-hyun looked surprised. "Dad, the physical transition is difficult. Your body." "I'm stronger than I look," Han insisted. "And I want to understand. All these years, you've been seeing things, learning things I can't imagine. Just once, I want to see your world." Do-hyun hesitated, then nodded. "Stay close to me. Don't touch anything." Together, father and son stepped into the blue light. The sensation was like diving into ice water. Han felt his body stretch and compress. Colors he had no names for flashed around him. Then suddenly, they were through. Han gasped. They stood in an enormous curved chamber. Beings moved around them, some almost human-looking, others wildly different. Light came from everywhere and nowhere. "Welcome, Han Tae-woo," said a melodic voice, a tall, slender being approached. "I am Elena's council representative. We have heard much about you." Han struggled to find words. "Thank you for helping my son. For helping Earth." Elena's made a gesture with long fingers. "Not all wish to help. Some believe your species is too unpredictable, too dangerous." "The shield projectors," Do-hyun said urgently. "The wave has accelerated. We need more help." Elena's nodded. "The council is divided. But I have something for you." A small crystal was pressed into Do-hyun's hand. "This contains the missing element for your power problem." Back on Earth, hours later, Han watched as his son explained the new solution to the scientists. The crystal from the Alliance could amplify Earth's energy output 100-fold, enough to power the planetary shields. "We'll need to build amplifiers at key points around the globe," Do-hyun explained, drawing on a world map. "The power grid will need to be connected in ways we've never tried before." The science minister nodded. "I'll inform every nation immediately." Han observed silently. The frightened, withdrawn son he had known for decades was gone. In his place stood a leader, a man with knowledge beyond Earth's understanding. Outside, people gathered beyond the security perimeter. Some held signs, "Trust Do-hyun" and "Save our Earth." The man Han had wanted to evict was now humanity's champion. "Will it work?" Han asked quietly when they were alone. Do-hyun looked at his father, exhaustion in his eyes, but determination too. It has to, Dad. It has to. 6 months after Han filed his lawsuit, he stood on the lawn of the National Assembly building. The day was warm and clear. Flags fluttered in the gentle breeze. Hundreds of people gathered for the ceremony. On a stage decorated with flowers stood the president, various officials, and Han's son Do-hyun. The president approached the microphone. 6 months ago, none of us knew the danger our planet faced, the president said. None of us knew that a hero was quietly working in a basement for decades, preparing our defense. Han felt a surge of pride mixed with lingering guilt. For years, he had thought his son was wasting his life. He had been so wrong. 2 weeks earlier, the quantum distortion wave had reached Earth. People around the world had watched the skies nervously. The SHIELD network, built according to Do-hyun's designs with Star Alliance technology, had been activated just in time. The wave had been invisible to the naked eye, but instruments tracked its approach. When it hit the SHIELD, the sky had briefly shimmered with beautiful colors, like a global aurora. Then it passed, leaving Earth protected and safe. Scientists later confirmed that without the SHIELD, the wave would have destroyed Earth's magnetic field, exposing the planet to deadly radiation. Now Do-hyun stepped forward to receive the nation's highest civilian honor. He looked different now, confident, well-dressed, his eyes clear and focused. The basement dweller was gone. In his place stood a man who had saved the world. I accept this honor on behalf of many, Do-hyun said into the microphone. The Star Alliance, who chose to help us despite their concerns. The scientists and workers who built the SHIELD network in record time. He paused. And my father, who never stopped believing there was more to me, even when he didn't understand what that was. Han blinked back tears. The crowd applauded. Later that evening, Han and Do-hyun returned home. Despite Do-hyun's new fame and importance, he had insisted they keep the family house. The basement, however, was now an official research outpost, connected to a larger facility built nearby. Tea, Han offered as they sat in the kitchen. Yes, please, Do-hyun replied, loosening his tie. Just like old times. Han smiled as he prepared the tea. Not quite like old times. Back then, I thought you were avoiding life. Now I know you were saving it. They sat quietly for a moment, sipping their tea. Through the window, they could see the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. The Star Alliance has invited me to be Earth's first official representative, Do-hyun said. They want me to travel to their homeworld for an extended stay. Han set down his cup. How long? 6 months, maybe a year. Do-hyun looked at his father. They say it's time for Earth to join the wider community of worlds, but we have a lot to learn first. Han nodded slowly. So you'll be moving out after all. They both laughed at the irony. The lawsuit that had intended to force Do-hyun out had instead revealed his true purpose, and now he would leave anyway, not as a failure, but as Earth's ambassador. The gateway will remain here, Do-hyun continued. A team will maintain it while I'm gone. You can visit me if you want. The transition sickness gets easier with practice. Han remembered his one visit to the Alliance world, the strange beauty, the advanced beings, the sense of standing at the edge of something vast and wonderful. I'd like that, he said. That night, they sat on the back porch together, looking up at the stars. Do-hyun pointed out various lights in the sky. That one has 3 planets with intelligent life, he said, indicating a barely visible star. And that cluster over there is where the Alliance first began, thousands of years ago. Han listened, amazed. His son had traveled to these places while never leaving the basement. The universe was so much larger, so much stranger than he had ever imagined. I'm sorry I tried to kick you out, Han said softly. Do-hyun smiled. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth, but I'm not sorry I stayed. A shooting star crossed the sky above them. Make a wish, Han said automatically, as he had when Do-hyun was small. Do-hyun shook his head. No need. I have everything I wished for. Earth is safe, and I have my father's understanding at last." As they continued to watch the night sky, Han realized that his lawsuit had failed in the best possible way. He had wanted his son to move out and face the world. Instead, the world had come to his son, and now Do-hyun would move far beyond what any father could have imagined. The basement door, once locked against intrusion, now stood open, a gateway not just between worlds, but between father and son. "We have a lot to learn," Han said, echoing his son's earlier words. "Yes," Do-hyun agreed, "but we have all the time in the world to learn it." The end.